This is Cajamarca, a reservoir surrounded by Pasadena, Altadena, and La Cañada, located directly south of JPL. This area is frequently visited by the local residents of Cajamarca. The vast area includes a baseball field, trails perfect for walking by yourself, your dog, or atop a horse. The recreational area also sees hundreds of players a week playing games of frisbee golf.
If and when it floods, everybody that owns a home here is going to be up in arms, right? I think prevention is more important.
I lived in an area of La Cañada that did flood because of that kind of sediment built up. So I can see the kind of damage flooding could do, but I also know it was really disruptive to the neighborhood.
Through the middle of Cajamarca flows the Arroyo Seco, meaning dry stream in Spanish. It is a seasonal stream that is contained at the south end of the reservoir by the Devil's Gate Dam, the first dam built in the Los Angeles County Flood Control District back in 1920. Because it is fed by the San Gabriel Mountains, some of the fastest eroding mountains in the world, the basin has accumulated a large amount of sediment since the dam's creation. The Devil's Gate Dam was built to slow water down and prevent flooding downstream of the Arroyo Seco, as well as to provide water to Pasadena. However, if sediment continues to accumulate, the dam will not be able to control water flows effectively. The LA County Flood Control District has identified many areas in Pasadena and LA that could experience flooding. In order to protect these communities downstream, the Flood Control District proposed a solution in 2014, nicknamed the Big Dig. The Big Dig proposes to remove 2.4 million cubic yards of sediment from the basin.
So it's a 4 or 5 year project involving 400 trucks, heavy-duty trucks a day, all emitting diesel exhaust.
Aside from increasing noise and traffic in the neighborhood, it would displace wildlife from a 76-acre area, leaving an approximately 51-acre maintenance area that would be cleared yearly of vegetation and sediment. It would clearly impact the area significantly, as can be seen in the Flood Control District's own renderings. To protect the wildlife that has made its home here, the Pasadena Audubon Society and the Arroyo Seco Foundation filed a lawsuit against the Flood Control District. In a recent ruling, the district lost the case because it did not support its proposed ratio to replace lost habitat or provide adequate mitigation of emissions from the trucks used in the project. These groups have raised more objections. One of the largest objections made is the amount of sediment being removed. The district claims that it must remove such a large amount of sediment because its reservoir has to be able to contain 2 design debris events, or DDEs. A DDE is defined to be a major storm that happens after a major fire, which significantly raises sediment levels. It has a 2% chance of occurring each year. To quote a document written by Timothy Brick of the Arroyo Seco Foundation, the probability of flood events that would pour 2 design debris events into the Devil's Gate Dam reservoir is exceedingly low, far below 1 in 250 years. From these numbers, it appears the district is acting out of an abundance of caution, according to the plaintiffs of the lawsuit. The city of Pasadena has proposed an alternative, smaller project to remove 1.1 million cubic yards. However, if enough sediment were to accumulate, then it could significantly affect the ability of the dam to control floods. The dam allows for control of the water passing through it so that it can allow a higher rate of flow both early and late in a rainstorm. It crucially stops or limits flows during the peak of the storm when the flow into the reservoir will be the greatest to prevent flooding. To serve this function, the dam's flow channels must be free of sediment in order to allow water to pass through it instead of building up on the upstream side and to hold more water behind the dam. If the dam were to become clogged, or if the reservoir lost its capacity to hold water, it could result in large storms having very high rates of flow from the spillway, which could cause the Arroyo Seco to top its banks downstream and threaten communities there. Another one of the largest objections raised over removing this amount of sediment is that it causes lots of environmental damage. It is easy to see if one walks through Jajamangna that the area is home to many diverse and unique habitats. Areas like these willow thickets will be destroyed by the Big Dig, and is probably unavoidable by any plan. Though the plan may disturb native habitats, the plan aims to remove invasive species, such as the great reed, poison hemlock, and mustard grass. According to the latest court ruling, the district's current plan, while it will likely be amended, does not adequately support its own mitigation of a 1-to-1 ratio, nor why that ratio was chosen. Environmental groups such as the Pasadena Sediment Working Group, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, as well as individual experts, claim that a 1-to-1 replacement ratio should be higher, with most advocating around a 3-to-1 ratio. The ASF and Sediment Group both advocate for the project to have a longer duration as well, with a maximum removal of sediment per year of 220,000 cubic yards, with 100,000 cubic yards extra if there is a flood. These groups also want to have a reduced amount of sediment removed, that being 1.1 million cubic yards, a highly reduced project and maintenance area. Our team in the Social Innovations program at Sequoia High School built a model to demonstrate the issues related to sediment in the watershed. We made it out of layered foam board that we traced from a topographical map of the Jajamangna area. Then we waterproofed the model using polyurethane so that we could pour water over it to simulate rainstorms. To demonstrate the effects of sediment buildup, we collected sand from various parts of the watershed and poured it into the valley of the model.
Through building this model, we were able to connect with the problem on a physical level because there was this physical map that we'd made.
I think I learned a lot about how to work together as a team with other people to try and utilize everybody's ideas instead of just focusing on one person's ideas.
We showed the model to different groups, including schools and retirement homes in the local area to spread awareness of the Big Dig, both in its necessities and drawbacks. We showed our audience how rainfall moves through the area by pouring water by the mountains in the north to simulate a storm. We simulate a large rainstorm by pouring more water, which can cause flooding if the dam is blocked by sediment. To make the model more interactive, we used it as the stage for a game called Can You Dig It? Students rolled a die to determine how many moves they could make, such as removing sediment or mitigating lost wildlife. Every time they remove sediment, they must choose a patch of plant species to remove. If they remove a native species, they must mitigate the loss by using one move to replant it elsewhere in the basin. Players will want to remove a lot of sediment to clear up the dam, but the more sediment they choose to remove, the greater the chance they upset the neighbors. At the end of each turn, they roll a die to determine the severity of the rains that season. Too much sediment combined with too much rain can lead to flooding. Mid-game twists, such as fire season or endangered species, allow the game master to make it more interesting by adding a sudden surge of sediment or plant growth. If the player gets through 10 turns without flooding, upsetting too many neighbors, and the game master verifies they correctly mitigated all the native species they disrupted, then they win.
I think it should be taken out because if it starts to rain or it floods, it's gonna, instead of going through it, it's gonna go on top of it, which will be wiping out all civilization, everything that lives there.
You should take the sediment out so then the water can just stay and it won't cause any damage.
You want to save the species and you want to stop it from flooding at the same time.
Jajamangna is a unique place in Los Angeles with an uncertain fate. It is an important place, both in its ability to stop flooding downstream, its rare habitats, as well as its role as a rare space in which people can be in nature. Regardless of how you feel about the Big Dig, we strongly encourage you to help the Arroyo Seco Foundation's stream team clean up the Arroyo Seco and educate the public about the place. What you should do, at the very least, is enjoy Jajamagna for the incredible species and environment it holds before that is changed.
Down in the park, all nice and green, there's birds and snakes and small ravines. People playing under the sun, kicking balls and having fun. Horses run throughout the land, an empty bed all filled with sand. A great big dam to stop the flood, but the water's stuck, choked with mud. Down in the Arroyo where the Big Dig's happening.
Diesel trucks moving in and out while the air is blackening.
Heath, Lily, Tim, Brick, different side, same dig. Least Bell's Vario kicked out. Where to go? Sycamores, Oak 2, down the river near you. Courthouse arguments, which side's gonna win? Stormy skies bringing buckets of rain and sediment into the devil's drain. Some say yes and some say no, but if we don't choose now, then overflow. Down in the Arroyo where the Big Dig's happening.
Sediment built right on up, and the effects are damaging.